A single, unstable blip flickers on the screen of a Russian Pantsir operator. Before he can react, it blossoms into 16 more. It is a coordinated attack. A swarm of 21 Ukrainian AN-196 Luty drones, flying too low and with a radar signature too small for Russia's premier air defenses to see, has arrived. Guided by unjammable Turcom navigation and coordinated by an AI using laser bursts, the swarm now initiates its final attack. The goal: take down the Novocherkassk power station for good. 310 miles to the west, huddled over laptops in a hardened bunker near Kiev, two operators from Ukraine's GUR intelligence agency monitor a string of telemetry data. Their assets are 21 AN-196 Lyuty drones. For them, the last 4 hours have been an exercise in nerve-shredding tension. This isn't just a mission, it's a test case for a new kind of war. Each AN-196 Lyuty is a bespoke creation. A 55-pound carbon fiber airframe with a 559-mile range, pushed through the air by a quiet, two-stroke German-made engine originally designed for high-end model aircraft. For the last 4 hours, they have flown a gut-wrenching, terrain-hugging route, never rising more than 40 meters above the ground. Their navigation is a masterclass in technological denial. They are completely blind to GPS, rendered useless by Russia's dense Pol-21 electronic warfare network. Instead, each drone relies on a system called TERCOM, which stands for Terrain Contour Matching. A laser altimeter scans the ground 50 times per second, creating a profile of the Earth below. This profile is constantly compared to a high-resolution digital map of the flight path stored in its onboard memory. It's 1980s cruise missile technology bolted onto a 21st-century drone. It cannot be jammed. It simply asks, "What does the ground beneath me look like?" and adjusts its course accordingly. To the multi-billion-dollar Russian air defense network, these 21 drones don't exist. So how do you fight an enemy your billion-dollar shield was never designed to see? You don't. Stay with us as we break down exactly how this billion-dollar defense shield was made irrelevant. The S-400 Triumph battery, positioned 18.6 miles southeast of the power station, is a technological marvel. Its 91 N6E gravestone radar can track a stealth fighter at 155 miles. But physics is a stubborn equalizer. Due to the curvature of the Earth, a target flying at 40 meters altitude is below the S-400's radar horizon until it's just 16 miles away. By the time the AN-196 Lyutys are theoretically visible, they will be less than 4 minutes from their target. But even then, detection is not guaranteed. The AN-196 Lyuty has a radar cross-section, or RCS, of just 0.01 square meters. To the S-400's powerful computer, which is trained to identify supersonic missiles and multi-ton aircraft, a 0.01 RCS signature, moving at 99 miles per hour, is indistinguishable from a large goose. It's filtered out as biological clutter. The system is designed to find needles in a haystack, not to notice that the haystack itself is moving. Closer in, a layered defense of 4 Pantsir S-1 vehicles guards the power station's perimeter. Each Pantsir is a self-contained death machine, armed with 12 57E6 missiles and 2 30mm autocannons. On paper, they are the perfect weapon against drones. In reality, their own specifications are their undoing. The Pantsir's own manual states its 1RS-2-1E radar has a minimum effective RCS target of 0.1 square meters for reliable engagement. The AN-196 Lyuty is 10 times smaller than that. In a conventional war, the Pantsir is lethal. Tonight, it is a scarecrow. At 9.3 miles from the target, the swarm AI initiates the final phase. Until this point, the drones have maintained strict radio silence, flying independently along pre-programmed corridors. Now, for a brief 2-second burst, they talk to each other. Not with radio waves, which could be detected, but with lasers. Each drone carries a low-power infrared laser communicator. They form a transient ad hoc mesh network, confirming their status and assigning final targets. The Novocherkassk plant isn't just one target, it's a system of interconnected critical nodes. The AI, trained on thousands of schematics and satellite photos of Soviet-era power infrastructure, understands this intimately. If you were commanding this swarm, would you go for the spectacular explosion or the surgically precise elimination that guarantees lasting damage? Let us know in the comments, and keep watching to see the chilling choice the AI made. Group Alpha. 9 drones are assigned to the main transformer yard. Their job is not just to destroy the transformers, but to make them impossible to repair. Group Beta. 7 drones will target the massive turbine hall, but they won't aim for the turbines themselves that's hardened steel. They will aim for the control system conduits running along the ceiling, the building's vulnerable nervous system. Group Gamma. The final 5 drones have the most crucial and seemingly least glamorous target: the plant's black start diesel generators and their fuel storage. These are the machines that would allow the plant to restart after a blackout. Taking them out ensures the damage is not just severe, but lasting. At 2:58 a.m., the lead drone of Group Alpha crosses the 6.2-mile threshold. Inside the Panzer command vehicle, an operator, likely bored after hours of watching empty screens, sees a flicker. A single unstable blip appears on his thermal display. Altitude 40 meters, speed 162 kilometers per hour. It's too slow for a missile, too low for a helicopter, and its heat signature is barely a pixel wide. His training screams that something is wrong. His finger hovers over the manual engagement button. Before he can press it, 16 more blips blossom across his screen. It's not a glitch, it's a coordinated attack. A lone operator is now the final line of defense against a new kind of warfare. Can Russia's premier weapon system stop a threat it was never designed to see? The answer will redefine modern combat. The operator slams the auto-engage button. The Panzer's computer, now forced to acknowledge the threat, designates the closest drone. With a roar that tears the night apart, a 57 E6 missile leaps from its launch tube, accelerating to Mach 3 in under 4 seconds. The missile's radio command guidance system screams toward the tiny drone, but the radar return is intermittent, like a bad cell signal. The missile's proximity fuse, designed to detect the large metallic mass of a fighter or cruise missile, is looking for a target that just isn't there. It needs to see a substantial change in the electromagnetic field to detonate. The carbon fiber and plastic drone is all but invisible to it. The $100,000 missile streaks past its $15,000 target by 5 meters and self-destructs harmlessly in the distance. The system fires again and again. Across the facility, the 3 other Panzer batteries open fire. The sky erupts in a chaotic light show of missile trails and tracer fire from the 30mm cannons. But it's a desperate, futile gesture. Hitting a small, agile drone at 2.5 miles with a cannon is like trying to shoot a clay pigeon with a cannonball. The gunners are forced to fire directly towards their own critical infrastructure, a terrifying choice between inaction and catastrophic friendly fire. One drone from Group Beta gets unlucky. A cannon round, fired in a blind panic, doesn't hit the drone but explodes from its self-destruct timer just close enough. The shrapnel shreds a wing. The drone spirals into the ground, a minor victory in a losing battle. The swarm's distributed AI doesn't pause. It instantly recalculates. The downed drone's target, a specific section of control conduit, is reassigned to 2 other drones in the group, which adjust their attack vectors to ensure coverage. The swarm doesn't mourn, it adapts, and the rest of the swarm is just seconds from impact. At 3:01, the first drone from Group Alpha reaches the transformer yard. Its payload is not a simple high explosive. It's an 8.8-pound dual-stage warhead. The first stage is a small-shaped charge. Upon impact with the top of a 500 megavolt ampere autotransformer, the charge detonates, focusing its energy into a molten jet of copper that punches a basketball-sized hole through the 12mm steel casing. This is the entry wound. 0.2 milliseconds later, the second stage triggers. This is not an explosion, it's a dispersal. A small canister releases a cloud of ultrafine carbon graphite filaments. These microscopic fibers, each lighter than air, are instantly sucked into the transformer's interior by the pressure differential. The result is immediate and apocalyptic. The graphite filaments, highly conductive, settle on the high-voltage windings, creating thousands of simultaneous short circuits. The mineral oil coolant, designed to insulate and cool, flash vaporizes. A flash erupts from inside, a silent white-hot ball of energy. The pressure rips the 200-ton steel box apart from the inside. It doesn't just explode, it vanishes in a cloud of fire and melted steel. Across the yard, 8 more drones repeat the process over the next 45 seconds. The entire transformer array, the heart of the power station connecting it to the national grid, is transformed into a scrapyard inferno. Simultaneously, Group Beta strikes the turbine hull. Their targets are the overhead cable trays. Their simpler thermobaric warheads detonate, ripping through the thin metal of the building and unleashing a wave of pressure and heat that vaporizes the control and data cables for turbines 3, 4, and 5. The turbines themselves are undamaged, but their brains have been scooped out. They begin to spin uncontrollably, no longer governed by the grid's needs. Group Gamma's 5 drones perform their mission with quiet efficiency, their small explosive charges rupturing the diesel tanks and destroying the engine blocks of the backup generators. The plant's last hope for a self-contained restart is extinguished. At 3:03, the Novocherkassk power station is effectively dead. But the story doesn't end there. A modern electrical grid is the single largest machine ever built by mankind, a continent-spanning network synchronized with near-perfect precision. In Russia, that synchronization is set to a frequency of 50 Hz. Think of it as a massive invisible flywheel spinning at exactly 3,000 revolutions per minute. Every power plant connected to the grid must push this flywheel at precisely the same speed. When Novocherkassk, generating 2.2 gigawatts, was violently torn from the grid, the demand for power from cities and factories didn't change. But 2.2 gigawatts of push on the flywheel instantly vanished. The load on the remaining power plants surged. The flywheel began to slow down. Across the unified power system of the South, automated sensors detected the frequency drop from 50 Hz to 49.8 Hz, then 49.5 Hz. For a power grid, this is a catastrophic failure. Protective relays in other power stations from Rostov to Volgograd did exactly what they were designed to do. They disconnected themselves from the grid to prevent their own turbines from being damaged by the unstable frequency. It was a cascade. Each time a plant disconnected, the load on the remaining ones increased, causing the frequency to drop further, triggering more plants to disconnect. It was a domino effect at the speed of light. Within 90 seconds, the entire southern Russian grid collapsed. 25 million people were plunged into darkness. But the chaos was just beginning. The blackout hit the port of Novorossiysk, Russia's primary naval base on the Black Sea. Submarines tied to the pier lost their shore power, forcing them onto noisy diesel generators, instantly revealing their positions to any listening intelligence assets. Air traffic control centers went dark. Military command posts switched to backup power, their operators suddenly blind to what was happening on the civilian infrastructure they depended on. The damage spread beyond the south. The massive, uncontrolled power fluctuations sent a shockwave north towards the Moscow grid. Automated interconnector stations tried to isolate the collapsing southern grid, but they were too slow. The surge hit the Moscow ring, causing localized brownouts and tripping circuit breakers in critical data centers. For a few terrifying minutes, even parts of the capital felt the tremor. Back at the smoldering remains of the Novocherkassk plant, the fires raged out of control. With the black start generators destroyed, the plant had no intrinsic power to run its own water pumps or safety systems. Fire crews arrived to find a scene from hell, unable to get close due to the intense heat and the risk of further explosions. The damage wasn't just a few broken transformers, it was a systemic, self-sustaining failure. Replacing a 500 MVA transformer isn't a matter of days or weeks. It takes months, sometimes years, to build, ship, and install one. Ukraine hadn't just turned off the lights. They had removed the light switch and burned down the factory that makes them. For the price of a handful of Moscow apartments, the Ukrainian GUR had achieved a strategic result that a billion-dollar bombing campaign might have failed to accomplish. They had demonstrated, with terrifying clarity, that the arteries of a modern superpower are its most vulnerable and undefended frontier. They proved that 21st century warfare might not be won by conquering territory, but by collapsing the complex, fragile systems that allow a state to function. As dawn broke over a darkened southern Russia, every grid operator from the Urals to the Pacific was asking the same question. If 21 homemade drones could do this from 311 miles away, what happens when 200 of them are launched at Moscow? The physics of power grids and the geopolitics of vulnerability had been permanently rewritten in a single night. Did Ukraine just open Pandora's box, making all civilian infrastructure a fair target for everyone? Or was this the necessary future of warfare? We need to hear your thoughts on this. Drop them in the comments section now. If you found this analysis valuable, show your support with a like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to bring you the stories that shape our new reality.